Joining us now from New York City, New York Police Commissioner William Bratton and head of the Homeland Security Department, Micah Johnson. Secretary Johnson, I want to start with you. You've said there's no link to a terrorist organization here, but the shooting in Dallas was, by any definition, terrorism and a hate crime, wasn't it?
Well, there's still an investigation being conducted by the Dallas Police Department and by the FBI, supported by lots of other resources in local government and the federal government. So it's still relatively early. We do know from Chief Brown that this individual apparently told the hostage negotiator that he wanted to kill white people, especially white police officers. I think that's almost a quote. And so this is obviously a terrible act. It appears to have been targeted at police officers, particularly white police officers. And it's a time to come together, to heal, to mourn, but to remember that the shooter is not reflective of the larger movement to bring about change that was out in Dallas to peaceably demonstrate. And those who engage in excessive force in the law enforcement community are not reflective of the larger law enforcement community. It's critical to remember that violence never solves anything. An eye for an eye leaves everybody blind. And this is a time to heal. It's a time to come together. It's a time to mourn.
Commissioner Bratton, describe for us the pressure that police officers are feeling now with the heightened scrutiny of those who have misbehaved as police officers, and then also in the wake of this shooting.
This is a time of great pressure on our officers. There's always pressure on American police officers, danger, but the good news is that American police, the American police profession, is a strong profession that has been going through profound changes over the last 20 years. Constant improvement in their training, constant improvement in use of force, continuing efforts in recent years to teach our officers de-escalation techniques, and also the idea of trying to see the community and have the community see them. Policing is a shared responsibility. It's all about dialogue. It's all about understanding each other, seeing each other, hearing each other. Remember, police officers come from the community. We don't bring them in from Mars. They come from the communities they police. And over the years, increasingly, we've had much more diversity in policing Muslim officers, increasing numbers of African-American officers, Latino officers. And that's a good thing because the community wants to see that. And that's part of the way we bridge the divide that currently exists between police and community, a divide that has been closing and a divide that we hope over time, and certainly here in New York, I can speak for our efforts here the last several years, myself and Mayor de Blasio, to not only bridge the divide, but to close it. And I think it can be done. I'm ever the optimist on this issue.
Commissioner Bratton, as someone who had police officers killed in a similar incident to the kind that happened in Dallas, did you see this coming, given the level of tension and debate?
We did not. I'll speak for myself that we've had a relatively peaceful 2 years in New York since that horrific murder of Detectives Liu and Ramos, that the communities did come together. We've been engaging in dialogue. I've had close to 600 meetings since that murder with community leaders, community activists, and we've had a relatively long period of stability in New York City. We've increased the training of our personnel. We're increasing our de-escalation techniques. And it has been a time of healing. So did we see it coming? No, but in policing that you always plan for the worst, hope for the best. Dallas was beyond anybody's ability to speculate about or even think about. First time really in American history, an attack of that scale. We had that in New York in the 1970s with the Black Liberation Army basically killing several New York City police officers. But something like Dallas, that who could have ever thought something like that would occur here in the United States?
Secretary Johnson, you've talked about the balance between Homeland Security and American freedoms. Where do you think that balance is on the law enforcement front between enforcing the law and the freedoms of citizens?
Well, excellent question, John. I think that the balance is best struck when you have effective community policing, where the law enforcement officer, the peace officer, is regarded as a friend in a lot of neighborhoods. You see a lot of that happening here in New York City. I've seen that in other cities as well. We're not a police state, and the most effective way to strike that balance is when, as the commissioner said, the public and law enforcement is working together at protection, at community peace. And so I think that's the key, and that's something that in these days we need to rededicate ourselves toward.
All right, Secretary Johnson, Commissioner Bratton, thank you both, and we'll be back in a moment.